Alright, ladies and gentlemen, this is a little bonus episode that we think you might like. This is
very, very, very exciting what we've got to tell you, peeps.
It is. This is actually a big deal, because today we would have hit 50,000 subscribers.
Well, we say that, we don't actually know yet.
No, we do. We can do the math. We've hit 50k subscribers.
We don't know that.
Okay, ignore Sam. We've hit 50k subscribers.
Okay, no, the reason I say this is because we're doing this video right now when we're at 49,500. YouTube apocalypse could happen and we could just lose 20,000 like that.
That's true.
When the Skill Up Exposed video comes out.
But so long as the trajectory continues, we've hit 50k.
Sure
it's been an amazing year. We just want to say a tremendous thank you. It's been incredible.
It really
There's
has.
no way we could have predicted that this would have happened. So just a huge, huge thank you for that incredible support.
Thank you very much for putting up with me. Thank you for putting up with this boring bloke. I know he's great to watch when you're going to bed. His voice is just the most boring thing in the world. So, guys, thank you very much.
It's very kind of you. The second thing is to say Merry Christmas. We're going on a break now for about 2 weeks. The Laymen are officially on holidays. We tried to go on holidays this week. We failed because there was just too much bullshit going on in the games industry. So we came back, we did some vids, we loved it. But we are on holidays for 2 weeks, so don't expect any videos then.
Only if we have big news.
Only if Andrew Wilson, CEO of EA, reveals himself finally to be Emperor Palpatine.
Yeah, I was just saying, Emperor Palpatine, or they find him actually shedding his skin. That's when we'll come back and actually tell you some juicy dank news. But apart from that, probably not.
Correct. Other than that, we're out of here. The last thing we want to talk about is a special little treat. We've been talking for a long time now about Christopher Lee. Chris Lee from Hawaii. He's in their state legislature there. He was the guy that got up and gave that amazing speech saying enough is enough, no more loot boxes, and that Star Wars was a Star Wars themed casino. He is really leading the charge against loot boxes. And we thought, you know what would be pretty cool? We interviewed Chris Lee.
We never thought in a million years, because we were like, you know what, we'll send him an email. He may reply. And he was like, yeah, cool, let's do it.
And we're like, okay, I guess we need to organise this now. What should we ask him? So we did this interview. There's going to be 2 versions of it. There's going to be this short version, which you're going to see now, and then there's a longer version with the full end-to-end. If you want to check out the long version, separate video in the description below. This one is the short version with the highlights. We really hope you guys enjoy. Chris Lee's a fantastic guy, just really doing amazing work. We're going to leave his channel in the description below. Go and check him out. Throw him some support.
Definitely.
Because while we are just sort of like circle jerking on YouTube, yelling into the wind, he's the guy that's actually like going to do some stuff about it. He's the one that's actually going to affect some real change, and like companies are really going to have to listen, because if he writes laws to stop them from doing this bullshit, then they have to comply. So he's doing the Lord's work over there in Hawaii.
There's only so much that our memes, our dank memes, can do on the interwebs.
That's right.
We do need actual people to do actual things.
Exactly right. So so that's it. Anyway, enjoy the interview, guys. Hope you have a fantastic time. Have a great Christmas,
and we'll see you guys for season 2 of Laymen next year. See you, fam.
We would have just tossed over live from the Laymen studio, which does not have does not have good enough internet to be able to do this interview. We're doing it from our home. Here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm absolutely thrilled to interview Chris Lee. Chris Lee is a representative from Hawaii. He has been someone that is at the absolute forefront of the fight against loot boxes. The way that YouTube channels are sticking it to big publishers for trying to rip us off. Chris Lee is the guy that's standing up from the legislative side, trying to make sure this doesn't happen there. He's doing incredible work at the moment. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. So awesome to have you here.
No, it's awesome to be on. Thank you so much for having me. And not that your guys' internet sucks. Ours sucks just as much. Our Wi-Fi is not working, so I'm doing this over my phone.
Right, nice.
Very nice. It looks very professional. Very professional.
Can we just say...
It's just me being lazy in our studio, so I have to set up stuff in my office.
Right, you can see the lazy background, just like you really could have put in a bit more effort, Chris. It just looks super unprofessional.
We actually just forgot our Australian flag.
We did.
That's the thing.
We should have brought that. First of all, really wanted to know the biggest question, the most important thing. You live in one of the most beautiful places in the world. It's perfect weather 24/7, all 365 days a year. Why the hell would you play video games in Hawaii? What the hell are you guys doing over there?
A beautiful summer, man.
Yeah, don't sell yourself short. I've been to Australia, I've been to Sydney, I've been to other places. It's exactly the same.
That's true.
That's true.
There's nothing to kill you here. I'm surprised you guys are still alive at this point.
The kangaroos and crocodiles are very dangerous.
Yeah, the beach gets boring after a while. Frankly.
Sure.
But growing
up, we're not big beachgoers, to be honest.
I can tell. Unless
I knew that was coming. I knew I set myself down. I knew it.
Chris Lee, as savage as he is, awesome. Much respect. Much respect.
What's just a quick thing? What was your favorite game on the good old Nintendo 64?
Oh, 64. Oh man, you're killing me here. There's two. There's two. Super Mario Kart 64.
Nice.
For sure. And the other one, GoldenEye.
Nice.
GoldenEye was a great game.
You're a man of excellent
You're a man of great
taste.
taste and culture, definitely.
What kills me though, I told Pierce Brosnan lives in Hawaii part-time. He works on a lot of issues. With he and his wife. They get involved in like environmental stuff. It's fantastic. So I had dinner with them and had drinks with them once. I told him this.
Wow.
I was like, you know what? You were like my childhood hero. Not so much in the movies, but in this game. And he's like, well, let me tell you about that. And his whole thing is, he doesn't give a... I'm not putting words in his mouth, but the movies he loves, games, I think this is new territory for him.
Sure.
Totally.
Get him involved.
That is so...
He should know about this.
That is so amazing. I cannot believe that you sat down and had dinner with Pierce Brosnan talking to him about GoldenEye. I mean, like, we've got some cool stories playing video games, but I think that's one of the best I've ever heard, man. Much respect.
No, but what we're going to do is, we'll get him set up on Twitch over here, playing a legit game of that. He can play himself.
God,
you guys
yes! How good would that be? That'd be amazing. That would get views, no doubt.
That would totally get views,
Totally.
100%.
Hey, let's talk about your maiden speech on the loot box issue. Very important question we wanted to ask you was, when you dropped your "it's a trap" line, did you have to tell your staff in advance not to laugh and to keep a straight face, or was that a surprise to them as well? Like, did you guys organize that in advance? How did that go down?
You underestimate the power of my memes.
I don't think we do, Chris. I don't think we do.
You knew exactly what you were doing. And you gave us so much great material, so we thank you.
It was fantastic. But seriously, though, tell us about the reception to that speech. I mean, because that was a big moment. The games industry certainly picked that up. What kind of momentum came from that first moment where you got up on that stage and said, okay, enough's enough?
You know, it was, I think, unexpected how widespread that got picked up. And this was really like a last minute thing. We had a handful of people that we've been talking to just to get information from the faith community and from, because they've been working on gambling stuff for a long time, from some mental health experts and so on. And a couple of friends who are gamers who said, you know what, if you're going to do something, let us help. And it turned into this press conference like 24 hours ahead of time. And we didn't really have a plan for next steps. We just wanted to put it out there and make sure that people understood what was going on and to see if anybody would bite so that there might be traction to actually do something. So I'm glad that people picked it up. You know, I think it's really thanks to folks like you guys and people around the country and around the world who started paying attention, started the conversation that really, I think, made this what it is today and is giving us a chance to really change the industry in a meaningful way.
What's it like talking to some like 65-year-old politician, you know, spent their life in the legislature, you know, never played a video game in their life? What's it like explaining to them, by the way, there are these loot box things that you can buy in Star Wars and they make your characters more powerful and we need to make laws against them?
It's quite the cornucopia of responses. You have some guys who are like, I just did a video, I was talking to a couple guys on the phone, and one guy he doesn't even use a computer. I mean, he just doesn't. Everything runs through his staff. They print it out. They put it in front of him. And it blows my mind how anyone can operate that way in this day and age. But there are other folks. I mean, there's a guy I talked to who is, I think he's like 75 or 76. He's really wise.
Right. Very smooth, Chris. Very smooth. You should be a politician with language like that.
But he got it.
Yeah.
And I didn't even have to explain because one of his staff had already been working on this issue and had been paying attention to what's going on. So when I called and they set up the call, he was already like, all right, tell us what we're going to do. And that was it. I didn't have to say a word. So I think there's a wide variety of initial responses, but at the end of the day, almost everyone we've spoken to, Republican, Democrat, conservative, liberal, wherever they are politically, understands the basic premise of this, and they all agree something should be done. Right.
So tell me, what about lobbyists? Have you been approached by any lobbyists to this point?
So I haven't yet.
Okay.
We've tried reaching out through, actually, even before we ever did our press conference, put a couple calls into some of the trade groups, you know, the ESA and ESRB types, and we just never got any meaningful response. I think because at that point, they probably didn't know how to respond.
Right.
But at this point, as the legislatures around the country and other governments around the world start to take this issue up, I expect there will be pressure. You know, I mean, there's $20+ billion, I mean, just in this country alone, riding on these kinds of mechanisms. So there's no way they're going to sit back and say, yeah, we'll give that up. You take it.
So are you saying you reached out to the ESA and the ESRB and neither of them responded to you?
Yeah, we never heard back.
Wow,
it went to like some intern and got filed away, but who knows? I think at this point though,
that's so crazy.
Surprisingly, you know what? I mean, I've been working on a lot of issues, whether it's this one or do a lot of energy work and other things. And in the industry, there's not one single mindset in any one company. You have boards of directors that are infighting over direction, and I think that's probably the case here, where you have disagreements. Do we just strip away loot boxes and other things and go back to what was good, or do we just double down on this and satisfy our investors? There's probably no one consensus within these companies or in the industry, which is why you probably have a lot of slow-moving response. So I'm not surprised there, frankly.
Yeah. I think a lot of these companies are, built now, on this whole idea of the microtransaction market, and for it to be stripped away would just be a huge, devastating blow to these shareholders. So it's a situation where, it's not going to be an easy fight, I think.
Oh, I think so, but I do think even the companies recognize that something is going to have to change. I mean, even just EA's response with the microtransactions and Battlefront. I mean, that's only one game in one limited circumstance, but inevitably they're going to have to find better ways to do these things. That's the whole point of this entire exercise, right? Yeah. How do we engage people to push the industry to go where we want it to go?
Wanted to talk about some very big news today that happened with regards to Apple. Now, the App Store is a very, very big deal. It's the center of the mobile games market. And today, Apple announced that any game that appears on the App Store that has loot boxes needs to disclose the odds of receiving certain items within those loot boxes. So, what are your thoughts on that? Given how big a player Apple are in the market,
I think it's game changing. I think this is the kind of thing that we've been trying to push for as a community. China certainly had done its thing earlier on, trying to get odds disclosed semi-successfully. And I think now that Apple's joined the mix, everyone else is going to have to fall in line, because this is something that all the game developers, if you want to go through the Apple Store, have to account for. So you might as well do it across all platforms.
For sure. Yeah, it is very exciting. It does seem like a real shift. I guess one of the complaints or feedback areas that we certainly receive in our comments about this is like, you don't want government legislating nothing. You never want government in your face about any of your business, right? What's your response to anyone that says that government has no business legislating on this front, and we should leave it to the likes of Apple to self-regulate?
We've seen this industry grow, regulating itself, and it's taken us to this place we're at right now. And that's not going to change unless we as a community help force it to change. And one of those tools is the threat of government intervention. But more than that, even if the industry steps up to the plate and says, all right, loot boxes, we'll be transparent about it and all that. When it comes to those kinds of games of chance, ensuring some basic accountability and transparency, so posting of odds and disclosure and that sort of thing, is uniform across every industry. It's not government intervening saying, do it this way or anything like that. It's saying, if you're going to do it, just provide us with some basic transparency and accountability for the general public, so that your people aren't getting ripped off and they know that you're giving them a fair shake. Because there are clearly companies out there, not only in this industry but others, and certainly games now, that have taken advantage of people, where you got like a 0.0 whatever odds of actually winning something.
Sure.
And I think that's the kind of thing that no matter where this goes, we have to sort out, and we have to make sure people aren't going to end up getting screwed by that sort of thing.
Well, obviously, the legislation side of things is one of it. What can people do, besides starting their own successful YouTube channel, obviously, what can people do to join this fight and actually make their voices heard and actually apply pressure to get an outcome on this front?
So I think people can actually legitimately make a huge difference here. And, we can write to EA and Activision and some of the other companies all we want, but they have a vested interest in saying, thank you very much. And by the way, here's another loot box. Maybe if you open this,
the dawning.
You want. Right. Yeah. But for us, it's reaching out not so much to those companies, but to the governments and to the elected officials that represent all of, asking them to place pressure upon these companies to change their ways, because that's when the companies will start to listen, when they're faced with a threat of regulation. And that's what this is all about. If we can raise that discussion, we may not have to intervene and tell them how to do things. Maybe they'll be willing to do it themselves. But at the end of the day, so far they haven't been. And that's why it's important that people keep speaking out, because this is a battle that will be indefinite. Eternal vigilance, is the price of democracy and freedom and all of that. And in this case, it's the price of good games and better games going forward. We got to keep the community together, active and on it.
You have a fantastic Christmas. I'm sure it's pretty hard over there to be enjoying that perfect weather. I tried to go to Hawaii for this Christmas break, but it was like completely booked out, so I couldn't even get a hotel room this time of year. So I hope you have a fantastic break, mate.
Oh, man. No, you know what? You guys want to come. Let me know. We'll hook it up. We want good people on the island. We'll get you on a surfboard.
That's right.
I know Sam has a girlfriend now. But some friends you should meet.
Chris Lee trying to hook us up. Oh yeah, that's dangerous territory. Territory.
That's definitely going in.
Yeah, no, he's a great guy. You'd love him.
And that's how we finish.
That is absolutely how we finish, Chris Lee.
Oh, you're the best, man. Thank you so much.
Take care, man. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.